Basically, moments after Berserk dropped a somewhat depressive chapter, Yukimura returned the favour by going even lower and dropping a chapter that slowly begins to form what we have all feared to come for Thorfinn. Following the ominous horror of the previous chapter involving Ivar being easily butchered and the laughing victory of the natives, we flash back to the chase scene with Thorfinn and Hild. Due to Hild's expert marksmanship, the pursuers are taken down non-lethally, giving time for Thorfinn to catch his breath. It is obvious to us that Thorfinn's injuries are prohibiting his natural movement, making him significantly more sloppy and clumsy as his body attempts to shut down from the pain. The rest is a short-lived luxury, however, as his head is quickly found, once more, an arrow piercing the tree he was leaning on. Sweat-drenched, exhausted, and confused, Thorfinn continues, managing to evade a speared lunge, barraging the warrior with a body slam that leaves him knocked out on the floor. The best way to describe Thorfinn's fighting style is how you play as Batman in the Arkham series, absolutely demolishing your opponents but being able to call it non-lethal as they don't actually die. Thorfinn analyzes his injury, but this is interrupted by a bombardment of arrows shredding through clothing and skin alike, bringing our glorious Viking crashing down, sprays of blood erupting from his wounds. I'm not sure if it was intentional, but we don't see Thorfinn's face at all during this, with all three shots angled to express the falling of his body more. Eerily, this could also be a parallel to the shot of Thor's, who took the back shots all those many years ago, leading to his death, like father, like son potentially. Luckily, Thorfinn's saving grace teleports to the scene as the tribe cheer on their supposed victory, and Hild lets fire her machine gun. To be completely honest, these shots could end up lethally wounding the tribesman. I don't think she had the time nor the calmness to aim specifically, but we do not find out, so who knows. A transitional panel opens us to a dreamscape of Thorfinn. Obviously he has passed out by this point, which is a rather screaming metaphor for the idea of Vinland, peace and pacifism on a whole. The burning of crops, smoke rising off the ruin of his dreams, the wheat field symbolizes growth and settlement, and the fire of the conflicting parties inhabiting Vinland. That peaceful, flourishing field that his father envisioned, and Thorfinn as well, is gone, turned to ash and roars, at the fantasy becoming intertwined with the harsh reality. To hammer home the point, Thorkel is present, the living representation of war, telling Thorfinn that futility of his goals were doomed from the very beginning, as he warned at the end of the Baltic arc. War is natural to the existence of humanity, and eternal peace is simply a folly for fools. Ivar's manifestation claims Thorfinn's experiment led to this failure, showing us that the words of Ivar have weighed heavily on Thorfinn's mind ever since. Einar cries out in his refusal to back down, questioning the possibility of peace anywhere if not in Vinland. These three people appear to be antagonizing voices within Thorfinn's mind, all providing internal conflict, and by the end of this sequence we realize that Thorfinn has, or is, giving up. His goals have crumbled and collapsed to the natural flow of humanity, and that fire blazes now only creates more death than Thorfinn tried his very hardest to avoid. Regaining consciousness, we see Hild manage to get Thorfinn out of danger and attempts to keep him awake through speaking to him. Thorfinn tells her to leave him, his strength all gone, and creates a sounding tone as she tells him to think of a name for the baby. Once again, we have to appreciate Hild's development, from originally paralleling the hypocritical hatred of Thorfinn to accepting his ability to change for the better and dedicating her life to protect his potential, supporting him in his most dire moments, calling him a good-natured flower garden of a guy. Even though Thorfinn's thoughts beat down upon his resolve, she remains a tether to his dream, telling him to keep going and to not give up, providing strength for the strengthless Thorfinn. They keep moving away from the danger, however a silhouette appears in the bushes and Hild is out of ammunition. Buluku emerges, spear in hand, face stern and unloving, and the chapter leaves us on a cliffhanger as we wonder what he may do. Whilst he was considered as an ally originally, the guilt felt for blaming himself with the origin of the plague back in chapter 203, along with Thorfinn's men attacking his own. This may have shaken his friendship, choosing the more likely tribalist approach and labelling all Norse as enemies. However, his kindness must not go unnoticed, and for this reason I am not completely sure of his intentions just yet. So what does this mean for Thorfinn and the gang? Well, it's over. Vinland will not end with the successful settlement of the Europeans, and we already knew this. Thorfinn's life, if based on his historical counterpart, is nearly at its end, and the death of other characters will surely begin to occur. It will sting when it happens, but the conflict has grown far too turbulent to be contained, and the settlers will be forced to flee for good, lest they be rooted out and slaughtered, such as what is happening in the village right now. I have always thought Thorfinn's ideology was far too naive to be implemented into society, and this is genuine proof conflict can spawn from any degree of differing opinions and spiral into something far worse, like a flick of a switch. We are going to have to wait for the conclusion of Thorfinn's expedition in Vinland, and even though it is a very depressing situation currently, it isn't completely hopeless. Einar and Bug Eyes can still assist, as can many others in the village who know how to fight when push comes to shove. Hopefully Buluku will assist Thorfinn and Hild to safety as well, however time is of the essence in protecting Gudrid and the newborn. Overall, a very tense chapter with allusions to Thorfinn's death metaphorically and literally being scattered like raindrops on paper, and whilst I do wish for Thorfinn's end to be one of peace, the conflict currently does make me worry for the settlers, and if this was Clash of Clans I would absolutely be spamming Thorkel the Barbarian King with several rage potions onto the battlefield by now. But anyways guys, if you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe to never miss out on Vinland content, and until the next one, peace out.